we won't spend a lot of time on this, but I want to touch on a couple of the highlights, and if I miss anything, you promise you'll jump in, okay? So, Dave Weed, you'll see here that we have you up here, right? There's some positive things happening in the city around Healthy City Fall River, and how can the club plug into the new bike paths and the fitness challenge and the farmers markets and things like this? So it provides opportunities for programming, it provides opportunities for the club to collaborate with some of these things that are happening external to the community. Maybe there's an opportunity to start a campaign around volunteer a few hours a week if you're unemployed type of thing. So you're building your resume while you're spending time helping to have the club reach its mission. Well, I think what we need to also do then is inherent in that is send a message to these youth that you have gifts to give. So they should be doing community service and be more involved, not just in, yeah, have fun, that's great, but also what are you going to give back? And I think there's opportunities for the club to plug in with those neighborhood organizations around that. All right, some of the threats. If their income is $20,000, it means that whoever's home is going to be out there working, right? And so are they home? These are all threats to us trying to accomplish the mission that Pete just articulated very well a little while ago. This is where I think we're at as an organization when we look at the strengths and weaknesses and what's happening externally when we look at the opportunities and threats. And it could be such that, you know, we don't have to comment on this at length, but does anyone have anything that you want to add? Yes.
I just wanted to mention, we as on the board have a stay in school committee. And Narrow, who is not a board member, but has been very active in helping us out as a volunteer. And their connection with the school department has been fantastic, as Ann and Dr. King will mention. I can remember when this was never thought of. We never thought of. And now it's really intense. I mean, there are, you know, you have a teacher who's helping the kids with their SATs. We have money coming in to assist in elaborating on all of the things that are being done to educate, you know, to send them out. And I just wanted to mention that, especially I wanted to thank Marilyn, because she isn't a board member, to be as active as she is in helping our connection with the Fall River School Department.
We also have a night now, we're getting a nice feeling with the school department. We have an excellent superintendent, and she's coming to the club, and she's meeting with, if they need anything, we just say, you know, can we meet with you? And the school department is open to them. So that's extremely important, that partnership.
Okay, we're going to put you to work very shortly. All right, but before we do that, I'm going to roll my VHS cassette.
Do we roll it out?
Yep.
Bill?
The video that I'm going to show you is a 1999 episode of Nightline. And at the time, it was the only Nightline episode that was rebroadcast because it was so popular. The interesting about the video, it's about a company, it's a product design company in California. And what they're doing is they're showing their process of designing. They were asked to redesign a shopping cart. So they're showing their process of redesigning the shopping cart. Why I think I wanted to show it to you today is a couple of different reasons. First, I think it's fun. Secondly, I think that you all deserve to have the opportunity not only to give today, but to learn something that you might be able to take back to your organizations. And probably most importantly, it's a great example of the process that should unfold today in your groups, but also the culture that we want to exist at the club. And when you see these folks, they're focusing on fun first, so they made a paradigm change. The people who work for this company, they have fun. It's not like, I gotta go to work, right? And they're focusing on fun and creativity. What the club is now focusing on, and has been for a long time, but maybe not conscious of this, is fun and character. So what we want to do when we're in these groups after this video is we want to think about how do we recreate this environment, this culture at the club, where it's not necessarily focused on creativity, but it's focused on character. So it's fun, but it's producing those responsible, productive, caring citizens. All right, let's roll.
Got the lights on the lights.
It used to be that you deferred to the boss.
The lights, turn it on.
The boss. Here, nimble fingers, alert minds, and tireless machines.
And it used to be in most companies that chaos was discouraged.
This is where the crazies live. This is where we do our work. It's different.
Good morning. Good morning.
It used to be you were supposed to climb the corporate ladder.
Good morning.
Status is who comes up with the best ideas, not who's the oldest, not who's been with the company longest, not who has that biggest
You got a
title.
glare, yeah, can you
go to
move
a culture,
closer?
There's a bunch of stiffs going around. I can guarantee they're not likely to invent anything.
You can stack this up big as you want.
That's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
Well, forget the way it used to be. Tonight, the deep dive. One
That's a good
company's
one.
secret weapon for innovation.
That couple's long gone, right? You'll find these guys on the internet. There's a couple of videos that are pretty good, but I didn't like
this
it.
broadcast near the end, as a matter of fact, you will hear one of the central characters suggest that we look around. The only thing that's not designed by anybody, he will say, is nature. Actually, you could say the same thing by observing that the only designs that don't require constant modification are the ones we find in nature. But the point is well taken. From the buildings in which we live and work to the cars we drive or the knives and forks with which we eat, everything we use was designed to create some sort of marriage between form and function. Does it work, and can we make it look interesting or attractive? What is truly amazing is how long we tend to put up with things that may not work particularly well or may look especially unattractive simply because we're accustomed to them and because no one has ever suggested redesigning those things. There's an interesting distinction between design and invention. Whoever came up with the idea of dental floss, for example, was an inventor, but the man or woman who put it inside that clever little plastic box that lets you tear off just the right length, that was a designer. Now, how does the process of designing a better product work? And would it be interesting to watch that process? When we first broadcast this program back in February, we weren't at all sure what you would think, but judging by the number of you who ordered video cassettes of the program and the number of people who contacted the industrial product design firm that is featured in this program, you liked it a lot. Here was the premise of the
We're
program.
redesigning
We
the
went to
strategy,
IDEO,
not the shopping
product
cart. The
design
same
folk,
process.
And said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So, welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Designers are the reason TVs have square screens, chairs 4 legs, and toothbrushes nowadays those squishy handles. In fact, it was IDEO that designed those squishy handles. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple. Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens. Hundreds of products we take for granted.
This is called the Neat Squeeze toothpaste tube, which
You invented that. The man who runs IDEO is Dave Kelly, a Stanford engineering professor with a Groucho Marx mustache, a data genius, and an approach to innovation that usually works,
thank you, Fred.
but not always.
I can show you some products that failed. Came up with this idea called monster shoes, where you take these little monsters and lace them into your shoes like this. And we built a bunch of them, and I didn't want those either. So
Mostly what IDEO designs, though, does work, and it works very well. Dave and his design teams create about 90 new products every year.
the point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. You know, we're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle. You know, a chair, it's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
And so for the next 5 days, the team will apply that process to bringing the supermarket shopping cart into the 21st century.
I think first we should maybe all acknowledge that it's kind of insane to do an entire project in a week.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO.
Kids climbing up and doing this.
Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
That's reported in the store. That's you actually have to go to
No, that's
emergency room.
hospitalized.
Wow.
Right.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen.
You know, what is the average life of a car? Does it last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And how big is this theft thing?
10 a.m. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side says, it gives a lot of help, says, be safe.
Everyone appears to be equal, and they love to mock corporate America.
I'll give you status. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I get? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
According to Kelly, even employees who merely listen to the boss don't add that much either.
So you gotta hire people who don't listen to you, and that I don't think corporate America wants to hear that right yet.
And I think we ought to start making those lists about the kinds of questions that we're going to ask.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it.
Yeah.
And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
What you're seeing here is the kind of social science, like anthropologists, you know, like you go and study tribes. What is it that they do that we can learn from that will help us design a better cart?
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
In corporate America, many bosses measure whether their people are, who the good people or the people who are performing are the ones that they see at their desk all the time. That couldn't be further from the truth. The people who are really getting the information are out here talking to the buzzes of the world, going to meet other experts, much more useful than sitting at your desk.
It's 3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today. People went off into the four corners of the earth and are coming back with the golden keys to the innovation.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
Everybody cool?
well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
Notice how intently they listen to each other.
They call it a deep dive, a sort of total immersion in the problem at hand. IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The deep dive begins, and for the next few hours, the ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, you know, and it's more nesting nest. It sort of has to nest. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
How about Velcro pants and Velcro seats for the kids? You just drop them down on there.
Like Velcro seats, Velcro pants for kids.
Yeah, see, you have to have some wild ideas. If then you build on those wild ideas, and they end up being better ideas than if you said if everybody only came up with same things, you know, kind of appropriate things. You'd never like have any points to take off to build a really innovative idea.
Organized chaos.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
By 11 a.m., the group begins narrowing down the hundreds of ideas written or drawn on the walls. How? By voting for them.
Vote with your post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it.
Why not have you be the judge? You're the boss.
Because I'm going to be wrong. It's the team that's able to really judge with the best idea.
Otherwise, ideas wouldn't come out.
That's right. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. That and the focused chaos that seems to go with it.
I take a point of view. I call it the sport utility vehicle cart.
It is noon. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
We don't want to tell them what to build, or else we take away the benefit of the whole thing, right?
What needs should they optimize their solution to? Yes.
The purpose is to refocus the deep dive.
Maybe we arbitrarily say 3 to 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. Hey, can we grab everybody over to the wall here? It has to be a command decision. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
Like it or not, the team is told it will split into groups to build mock-ups covering 4 areas of concern that have been identified. Shopping, safety, checkout, and finding what you're looking for.
I noticed that toward the end of the process, the adults took over.
Yeah, that's because we have no choice but to stop that cycle. I mean, there's if you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
While the team starts building prototypes, Dave Kelly takes me on a tour of the rest of IDEO.
What's happening in here is that's a client meeting. That's our first client meeting. That's the first time we met with the client. So we haven't trained them yet. If we took them straight from there into a room where music was blaring and everybody was throwing Nerf darts at each other, that would be a little hard to take. You know, so we're warming them up. But this is where the crazies live. This is where we do our work. It's different. You can tell whether a place is playful in about the first 15 minutes as you walk down the hall. Being playful is of huge importance for being innovative. I mean, if you go into a culture and there's a bunch of stiffs going around, I can guarantee they're not likely to invent anything.
Invent anything like this futuristic-looking instrument for kids.
So no matter what you do with that thing, you always
sound great.
You always sound good.
You have to make it so that this can happen.
Whoa, he's on a break.
No, it didn't break.
There's a whole department at IDEO devoted to toys. Turns out to be one of its most profitable areas. Fun, too.
So got these little wings that no matter what you do, I get in trouble here. It's always a spiral.
At IDEO, they found that fresh ideas come faster in a fun place. Not only is the furniture on wheels to suit the needs of the moment, but people are encouraged actually to build their own work areas.
They were designing this space and they said to me, you know, we'd like to have, you know, $4,000 extra in our budget for a DC-3 wing. And I said, DC, do you have to have that? And they said, yeah, they have to have it. So that's
a DC-3 wing.
Piece of a DC-3 wing, yeah.
And that's just decor.
That's decor. That's ambiance. You know, that says we're weird and we're proud of it.
Umbrellas on the ceiling to shade computer screens from direct sunlight. And bicycles on ropes to prevent clutter.
The first guy who hung a bike up on a thing, he didn't come to me and ask me. He didn't ask some facilities person if it was okay. He tried it. And then, like, he waited and see if anybody complained. If nobody complained, another guy hung a bike up. And pretty soon everybody's got their bikes up and nobody's complained, right? So it's that whole thing of trying stuff and ask forgiveness, you know, instead of asking permission. It's the way people come up with new ideas.
IDEO has such a reputation for innovation that client companies are increasingly asking Dave not just for new products, but also to remake their corporate cultures. You may be looking at the workplace of the future here.
It's one thing to be able to do a product once in a while, but if you can build a culture and a process where you routinely come up with great ideas, that's what the companies really want.
Okay, Peter, we're done.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock, and the 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think we'll have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto.
Things we've been
A
talking
high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find the yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the cards come up here for a second? I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
So
It is day 5, and Dave Kelly has no idea what the final cart looks like. Only the team does.
if they kind of got their heads down, they don't look at me, I'm nervous. You know, if they say, wait till you see it, then I know we're in good shape. So I'm getting wait until you see it. I think that'll be good. There it is!
So we took the best elements out of each prototype, designed this entire cart in a day, and then this cart was fabricated in a day with an amazing team of people in our machine shop pulling this off, working in shifts throughout the night.
Wow, I'm impressed.
So are we.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. Hand baskets that stack in a metal frame, and major improvements for all.
You just lift the handle up, you drop the, put the children in, and then you can close the handle right over them, and they instantly have some little bit of a work surface that they can play with.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful. I mean, let's, take it over to a local supermarket and see what they say.
Yeah, it works really well.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way.
Rather than taking your cart everywhere you go in the store.
So there's just a couple more minutes in that video where they explain that they won some awards over this and things of that nature. Again, what I'm highlighting with the video is their process, which I hope is going to be your process when you get into groups, and also the culture there. And I'm hoping that that's going to be something that we're able to create with this new mission, where the culture at the club is, and you know what, it probably already exists, we just need to find a way to highlight it more, is around fun, but not creativity like IDEO, although creativity is fine, but character. How are we developing a culture that helps these kids to recognize the importance of developing themselves such that they can give that gift? Okay. So, what I want to do now is we're going to put you in 3 different stakeholder groups. The first stakeholder group will be in that corner, and it's the perspective of kids and parents. The second stakeholder group will be in that corner, and it's the perspective of employees, administration, and the board. And the third stakeholder group will be in this corner, and it's the perspective of funding agencies, donors, community leaders, or potential collaborators. Okay. Here's the exercise. You're on an escalator. and you're not eavesdropping, but you happen to hear two people in front of you from your stakeholder group. So 2 kids or 2 parents, and they're talking about the club. What do you want to hear them say? That's what I want you to work on. From that perspective, don't stray if you're in this group and start talking about employees. Or don't stray if you're in that group and start talking about what the kids want to hear, what you want to hear from the kids or from the parents. Okay? He's going to put you in groups.
All right. Totally random. So we didn't want to put all the finance people in a finance thing and pigeonhole you. Just like we're trying to get you guys out of certain comfort zones with your committees. So this is totally random. Don't get upset with me. It was Melissa's idea. So first, let's see. I'll call your name. It's 1, 2, 3. Bob, 2.
Jim's group in here is a perspective from kids and parents. What do you want to hear them say? Second group, employees on the board. Third group, funding agencies, donors, community leaders, potential collaborators.
Where the kids and parents.
Irene, you're going to be the scribe?
No, I'm not, I think
I turned the AC off so if it gets cold, let me know.
We're eavesdropping on an escalator.
From parents and...
No, from donors and funding agencies. And community. And community. Yeah.
We want to feel what someone's on, so we're eavesdropping on what they're saying?
Yeah, what we would want them to hear.
Okay, sure, I understand that.
What are some concrete things that we can do to make those things happen? That's why everyone also considers resource development, because you also, need to make sure that we're going to have the resources in order to make these strategies happen. So it's not like dreamland, but it's things that we can actually accomplish. Anything about the club. It could be about other staff, it could be about the board, it could be about programming, all those things. What do you want to hear them say? They don't know you're there or who you are, whatever. Right? Yeah. We're going to be a scribe. Someone has to volunteer to present.